After last week's Nintendo Direct, we know even more about the game Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We know that Hyrule is going to be back and it's going to be huge. We know there's going to be islands above to explore, and we know there's going to be a cave system right underneath Hyrule to explore. So this map is going to be huge, possibly triple the size of Breath of the Wild. So our boy Link is definitely going to need some items to help him explore this world correctly, and more importantly for the player to have a good time while re-exploring the game. So I've been thinking about a few key items from past Zelda games that I think would be a perfect fit to return in Tears of the Kingdom. So in this video I'm going to break all those down. Hey, if you're new to my channel, definitely think about subscribing. As a small indie YouTuber like myself, every subscriber matters. But let's get right into this video. Breath of the Wild has been described by its own directors and producers as an open-air game. But ironically, you didn't spend much time in the air. Besides for your rides on your paraglider, you mostly stayed on the ground. Granted, the main mechanic, or one of the most fun mechanics of that game, was climbing, but that was really your only way to get around, was to climb up things and then paraglide down. So in the sequel, in Tears of the Kingdom, we're going to be in the sky a lot more. We're going to be free-falling a lot more. So a fun item that I think would make this game just so much fun to get around in is the Hookshot. Granted, we could use the claw shot too, but let's stick with the Hookshot for right now. How I'm imagining this is that Link could climb up a big mountain or go to an island and be able to really hookshot around, maybe even hookshot from island to island. A game that kind of does this and is super fun is new Marvel's Spider-Man, where you really have the freedom of movement between going from building to building, gliding around, and it's really a game within itself, web-slinging around. I'm not saying I want Link to turn into Spider-Man here, but how fun would it be to climb up to a top of some sort of island or mountain, paraglide down, see an object, maybe the top of or the bottom of another island, hookshot to it, fall a little bit, hookshot to something else, fall on that stone bird that we saw in the newest trailer, paraglide a little bit, and hookshot to something else. It could make traversal and moving around this huge map just so much fun. This is one of the most beloved items ever since Ocarina of Time, and it really baffled me that it wasn't even in Breath of the Wild. But they said they didn't want the movement to be too quick in this game because Breath of the Wild is more about exploration than anything else. So this game will also be about exploration, but I think moving around in this huge open world is so important. Being able to move around places you've already been, but in a new, interesting way, could really make a map that we're already so familiar with feel fresh and brand new. So if there's one item that I would love to see come back from a prior game, it has to be the Hookshot. One of my least favorite Zelda games of all time is Skyward Sword, but they might have had one of the most interesting items to come across the entire franchise, and I'm talking about the beetle. Yes, granted, the beetle is not used all the time, and the controls could be a little finicky at times, but just super fun to control a beetle, be able to see areas that Zelda just doesn't have the ability to get to. My only hope that is in Breath of the Wild, they kind of reinvent the beetle and make the controls just a little bit easier to use. I know most people don't complain about the beetle's controls, but I do. But there's something so fun about picking up a bomb with the beetle and upgrading it so you could pick up a bomb and then drop it on a bad guy that you basically have no danger of actually getting hurt, because worst comes to worst, your beetle blows up or gets damaged. But I think the beetle in Tears of the Kingdom would be super fun. Maybe not an item you want to use all the time, but for maybe some specific dungeons or specific challenging areas, having a beetle could be very, very handy for Link. On the flip side, an item that I want to stay far, far, far away from Tears of the Kingdom is the Gust Bellows. This is another item that you can find in Skyward Sword, and I just didn't like this one. This is basically just like a bag of air that Link carries around, and he blows sand away, and he can uncover things under the ground and use it for a few boss fights. But I just found this item annoying to use. I didn't enjoy using it at all. I didn't think it was too fun. I think kind of Link looks a little bit like a doofus while he's blowing a bag of air at his enemies. I just didn't like that item, and if I had to make a list of my top 10 most hated items in a Zelda game, this would be number 1. Maybe not number 1. There's some other really bad items too. This would definitely be in the top few most hated Zelda items of all time. Another fun item for Twilight Princess is the spinner, where Link actually jumps on a spinning device and can flow really quick through an area. This is kind of a really fun item and could be used well in this huge open world. I know horses are kind of annoying to use, but if you could just summon a spinner and go really quickly through a part of Hyrule, it get you from point A to point B really quickly, and it's just fun to use and visually awesome to look at. A spinner is not one that I think will actually show up in the game, but it would be fun to have a spinner, a hookshot, your paraglider. It could make traversal just really exciting and really fast. I'm not sure if Nintendo could handle the frame rate of Link moving that quickly on all these different items, but I want to throw that into this video because the spinner is just a really fun item, and I hope one day it comes back into a Zelda game. Sometimes you just have to go back to the basics, and these next two items I think could be really beneficial in Tears of the Kingdom, and the first one is as basic as it gets, and it's the shovel. I know a lot of Zelda games utilize the shovel while you're hunting for treasure or finding secrets, but maybe the shovel could have more than one use in this game. Granted, you could find secrets and treasure in the ground, but maybe at some points in the game, Link actually has to shovel down into Hyrule to get to a certain cave. You could almost use it as like a fast travel point. I mean, maybe there'll be an indicator in the ground where you can shovel, or maybe you could just shovel in a ton of different places. And you're trying to figure out the cave system and where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to go. Maybe you could just shovel through the ground or a wall and turn it into a shortcut. I just love the shovel. It's just a cool item to have, and I always thought maybe it didn't get as much shine as it should have. Another item that was a total letdown for me in Breath of the Wild was the boomerang. The boomerang is such a legendary Zelda item, and for me, I just didn't like the boomerang. First of all, super hard to use. You throw it, it never really comes back to you. I would just use it as like a handheld weapon and hold it and use it like an axe or a sword while fighting bad guys. I would love if they reinvent the boomerang and made it easier to use. You could throw it, hit a few enemies, and come right back to you. I'm not comparing Zelda to God of War, but in the newest God of War, when you have Kratos and he throws that axe, he's able to call it back. That is just the best feeling in the world. I'm not saying I want Link to do that with the boomerang, but maybe we could do something similar to that. Come on, Nintendo, it wouldn't be too hard. Let's get some awesome boomerang physics in the works. This next item is another one that I really think could help Link really traverse the land of Hyrule and the skies above and make it really fun, and that's the Pegasus boots. Believe it or not, the Pegasus boots have appeared across 6 different Zelda games, but we haven't seen it in a little bit. I mean, like I was talking before about moving really quickly through the world on a spinner or using your hookshot, the Pegasus boots just make sense. Maybe you could whip through Hyrule really quickly, hookshot somewhere, use that momentum to use your paraglider, then hookshot somewhere else and land on your Pegasus boots flying 1,000,000 miles an hour. I know this would be a really fun item, and I know people are scared about Breath of the Wild. They're hoping there's going to be a lot of changes and differences, and we haven't seen that many yet. Maybe in Tears of the Kingdom there's going to be a ton of items. You're going to have 1,000,000 different items to use, and you're going to be able to decide what item you want to use and when you want to use it, just giving us freedom like we've never seen before in a Zelda game. What I really want to know is, what do you guys think of these items? Do you think the hookshot would be a good addition to Tears of the Kingdom? Do you think we don't really need it anymore and we've kind of moved on? Do you have some other items that you think would be a perfect fit for a sequel or you're dying to see in a modern day Zelda game? Let me know right down in the comments section. I'll be sure to get back to you. Guys, I get back to every single one of my comments. I'd love to have some Zelda conversations with you. Guys, like I said earlier, I'm kind of an indie YouTuber, pretty small, so every subscriber really helps. So definitely think about liking this video, hitting that little bell, so next time I go live with content, you get it right away. Guys, thanks for watching this video again. I am Turbo Jesse. I'll see you on the flip side.